So, I finally got my worms. I ordered, so about 600 in red wigglers. And then, I also paid for about 100 of the, European Nightcrawlers. And these poor little guys have been traveling. I made the order on Thursday, so you figure they started traveling Friday. Or did I order them on Friday? No, Thursday. I was kind of hoping they'd be here by Saturday, but that didn't work out. Anyway, oh, I got escapees. Okay. Oh, that one's all squishy. But they were supposed to be here yesterday, and I ended up getting a notice that they couldn't be delivered due to security reasons, and I couldn't quite understand what they meant by that. So I've got a little escapee in the box, apparently, but the whole, you can tell that the box did get a little munched up. Not too bad, considering they're coming from Pennsylvania. But it's not too bad. I do have a worm in there. There he is. That got a little, that is going rogue. So we will open up these guys to see exactly how they're doing in here with the delayed trip from Sunday to yesterday. And hopefully, let's see, we'll go with these guys. These are the red Europeans, so we'll wait on them. And this one, I'm guessing, is probably a, by the looks, I'm sorry. That one looks like it's a red wiggler. 80. Kind of looks like a red wiggler. I forgot my gloves. So we're just going to have to do it this way. Okay, so just looking in the bag. So far it looks like a few of them are okay. Looks like there's a couple little crispies maybe. Oh, poor little guy, for some reason is stuck on the cloth. There we go. They're a little dry. That's for sure. But I did, in fashion of expecting them yesterday, I did go ahead and set them up for bedding of a pre-compost I've been working on. So I double tested, make sure it did not go up in heat. It's being pretty steady as far as heat, so they should like it. Let's see what we got here. Oh, look at that bunch of worms. Okay, so these are the red wigglers. I'm sure I didn't leave anybody in the bag. I think I did. It's so dry in there, I don't think so. Wow, I can actually hear them even moving around. Okay. There's nobody left in the bag. We don't want a worm forgotten here. Now, this is supposed to be 500. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to have some in a big bin that I'm working on for my vermicompost. And then I want to take about half of them and put them in their own separate bin so I can hopefully breed them out as well. And then just have them true to being red wigglers, period. And then I'm also going to do the same thing with the European Nightcrawlers. Half's going to go in my my big composting bin that I'm working on. And then the other half is going to go in their own separate bin, so that way they stay true to that particular species. And then they will hopefully do what I want them to do a lot faster than whatever got going. Because my current bin right now has a couple wild worms, our natural native worms that I had saved. And then I had gotten some Nightcrawlers, which I come to find out are Canadian Nightcrawlers. Ones I really did not want. But they're in there. They still do the job. But I just don't want to use them in there because of their temp issues. So what I decided I'm going to do is just get the Europeans and keep it to there. Now, I've got a bowl that I'm going to be separating 300 worms in. So we get to do some counting. But so far, everybody looks like they're moving. They're alive, which is good. I want to move them around just a little bit and see. But I don't want to cover them up since they are pretty much separating themselves. Which is actually kind of nice, but it looks like everybody is moving. So that's good. And I did forget my gloves. But I guess let's start spreading them out. Oh, they're jumpy little things too. They don't like to be touched. So I've got, how many do I got here? I got one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 so far. And I put a little bit of bedding in the bowl too so that they don't feel so, plus they get moisture. So we have 6. God, I don't want to hurt the little guys. Wish I had my gloves. $98, $99, and $100. So there's my 300 there. That bin is done. Okay, that's my 100 there. So my 300, I have put them all in some bedding because they are a little, they're dry. And they are not happy. But they are very dry. And they're definitely not happy campers right at the moment. But they'll go into this little bin here. So I put them in their little bin. And they look like they're already happy to be in moist soil instead of this dry stuff. So they're starting to bury down. So red wiggler's done. Okay, now as far as these guys go, these guys are gonna go in my big bin. And I don't really want to count them out, because whatever is remaining in here is just going to go in my bigger composting area. So I'm just going to take some bedding that I made up and just put them in a little bucket, little pail. That way I can just kind of dump them into my other bin. I kind of don't want to add the dry stuff though. Or do I? I'll just add the dry stuff. I'll do it this way. And that way it'll just go into my big bin. And then hopefully they'll figure out that there's moisture down below all this. Come on, guys. Okay, so they're going down. I do have some bedding down below there for them to get to if they'll get to it. But they are going down. So we'll just kind of let them mingle their way down. So they're already working their way down. Some of them, anyway. Here, just kind of open it up a little bit so they can realize there's some wet, moist stuff down there. Just a little bit more over there. And I have been working on this pre-compost for a while, so it's gone through a couple cycles. All it is pretty much shredded paper. I've added some worm chow in it. I've added a yeast to help break it down. I also added cocoa coir. So it's got cocoa coir, shredded paper, kind of what I've just got around. I did go out into the woods and get some leaves and some natural foods. See, like here's a leaf that I've been working on trying to break some of it down before these guys came, and for my current worm bin as well. So, I mean, it looks good. I did have a slight issue about a couple days ago where it was my error, of course, because, you know, everybody makes mistakes, and you gotta learn from it. No matter how much research you do, everybody makes mistakes. So expect it, because it's gonna happen. You know, it's live and learn from your mistakes. So, what happened with my pre-compost is I had already been working on composting it for, I think, at least a good 2-3 weeks. And so, my little dummy butt decided to add some more nitrogen to it, because I realized when I had done it and when I added the leaves and everything, I added more carbon, but I didn't add any nitrogen in the process of when I did it. So I went ahead and added a little bit more nitrogen. Well, because the bin had already basically was in its compost stage, I ended up unbalancing my compost to the point that it started smelling fermented. Okay, you know, you get your odors, but for how long some of the, you know, once the worms get established, once your compost starts getting established, you don't have any odors. There's really no odors. The only time you get an odor is if it goes anaerobic, which if you get, you know, pooling liquid. So if you add too much liquid, which I did not, I actually did not add a whole lot of liquid to it for it to pool in the corners of the container. So it was damp, but it wasn't, you know, sopping wet or anything, so that wasn't the problem. What was the problem was me adding nitrogen without adding any more carbon, or adding nitrogen, sorry, but adding too much nitrogen. So the bin ended up within 24 hours, it started smelling like a fermented smell. It wasn't bad, you know, like a horrible, horrible smell, but it was very, very strong. Very strong fermented smell. Okay, so next we're doing the red Nightcrawlers. Hopefully these guys, I don't see them moving around in there. Oh, now I do. So I was like, okay, I did something. It's not supposed to smell like this. And so I got a hold of the one gal I follow, that she pretty much makes a really cool, you know, compost, pre-compost for her worms. And I had never done a indoor compost bin like this before. So I was like, okay, what did I do? So I got to think about it, and I'm like, okay, I added nitrogen, I added this, I added that. And I'm like, great, I unbalanced it. So all I did was add, that's an awfully big twig. All I did was add more carbon to my mix. And, ooh, worm ball, look at that. Look at that. They're all clustered together in a worm ball. They're a bit cold, too. So, I had to rebalance it out. We'll just say that. So now, it doesn't smell like a fermented mess. It actually smells like decent, and it's starting to smell like soil. So, these guys should be pretty happy with it, because it has been composting for a little while. These guys are actually really cold. Let's see. So, anyway, so my compost has been going for a while. It smells loads better than what it did. It don't stink. I don't have any complaints about it, and it's not killer to the nose, because I know what anaerobic stinky smell smells like, and it wasn't that. It was just very fermented smelling. Okay, so these guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sticking 50 in their own container and then 50 in my big bin, because this was an order of 100. So I figured I'd start with 100 on these guys. Okay, so we've got some that aren't really moving. You're not really moving. Okay, so we'll start counting them out. 50 is going to go in their own separate, and 50 is going to go in my big container that I'm working for my compost. So let's get started trying to get these guys out of the cold. Some of them aren't moving very well, if at all. So the ones not moving, I think we're going to watch them to see if they're by chance actually dead, because we don't want them to be dead. Okay, so there's one. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5. 47, 48. 49. 50. There's my 50. So here's my 50. They're already starting to work their way down. They realize that they're in really nice, moist, yummy stuff. Okay, now these guys, I'm gonna put some of this bedding in here. They've been sitting in it on the trip. It should be nice and yummy. See any other worms in this? Oh, I take that back. There's one right there. I don't want to. I think I just saw a worm cocoon that looks like it's about ready to hatch as well. Oh, I didn't. No, I didn't put any in there. Okay. Oh, there's one right here too. Okay, you are moving, so you're good. Okay, you are moving. Yeah, there's definitely some cocoons in here, which is funny. Worms. We're going to do the same thing that I did over there, but we don't want to take worms with it. Here. Should have did that in the beginning. See? Always make boo-boos. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to put some of this in here too. Just don't want to put the worms in there because I want some worms in there. You guys need to work your way into the wet stuff. I should have brought some more just straight stuff, but okay. Let's see. No worms back in this, but I do have worm cocoons in here. Oh, you're moving! Yay! Okay, little buddy. Now the bowl. I'm gonna do. Yeah, I should have probably brought a little bit more bedding, just for doing this. We'll just put these guys. Wait, I moved a worm. Oh, I don't think this worm's still moving. Barely, but we'll throw him in there. I think he's alive. We'll see what happens when he hits the wet stuff and see if he moves. Okay, put this little worm ball right here. We're going to put you guys in here. I know you guys are cold. You had a long trip. Check out the worms. Well, this I'll just put in a separate container. So I've already got some in there dry. that's a twig that almost looks like a worm, though. Thought maybe it was a worm. No, that's a twig. That's a twig. Make sure I don't have any in here. Okay. Oh, there's one. Okay, looks like I got them all. I don't see any more. What is that? Looks like plastic. I don't know. Okay. We're just gonna layer this on top. I want those little organisms that are in here that I see crawling around to also be included in my bin. And then what I'm probably going to do is add some little extra liquid in there just for the little guys. Since I do have some of their dry bedding in here. So I'll be right back, and I'm gonna grab some liquid. I gotta warm it up just a little bit because our water comes out really cold. And thankfully, we live on a well system, so I don't have to worry about anything bad. After our filtration system got redone. Because one downside with Montana is we have very, very high iron content here in our water. And sadly, it killed all my fish, it killed my bird. My one cat ended up with a diabetic, believe it or not, from it. When we didn't realize that the system had, finally quit working, and we were drinking that nastiness. So I'll be right back, and I can sit here and watch the little wormies. This little bowl right here, hopefully watch them kind of go down. Because that bowl is still right there. They're still moving. So I gotta go warm up some water a little bit. Okay, so we got a little bit of water. I don't want to, it's about lukewarm is about what I made it. I'll just go ahead and kind of dribble it in there a little bit. Warm them up. Of course, I forgot my gloves. I think I have a set in my other room. I do. I found some gloves. I usually have my bin. I have my bin and stuff actually out in the garage, and I don't want to disturb the man in his man cave. So I figured I'd do this in here, especially since it's actually about 60 degrees in here, so it's nice and warm. Hopefully I put enough liquid in there. So let's see. Oh yeah, it's pooling on the bottom. At least this way it'll kind of help with the dryness in the bedding for right now. And warm them up. I don't know if I added enough liquid. Sorry guys, I know you went for a long trip. Now you're being manhandled. I am so sorry. But you'll go into a nice big bin. Lots of goodies. My big bin, since I don't really have a lot of worms, I started off small, So I started probably with, I say, when I first started getting them, I had maybe about 15 to 20 wild worms that I actually saved from digging in my one flower bed area. And I was like, you know what? Why not? You know, I know they generally aren't used as composting worms, you know, your native worms, because they're not used to that situation. They don't exactly eat everything. But I was like, you know, why not? They're worms. And, you know, they still eat, you know, all the organics and stuff on the property and in the soils. And so I added them into a container. This little, you know, shoebox size container. And just kind of fed them. I fed them, let them go, let them do their thing. They did actually repopulate, and they did survive, and they still are doing actually relatively just fine. Then I decided to get some Nightcrawlers from the local feed store, or not feed store, hardware store, because they usually always have them. And it's a local guy that actually sells the worms out. And they're big fatties. They're huge. And I found out the reason why they're huge is because they are the Canadians. Now, the one thing with Canadians that I didn't want is the fact that they can't go any higher than about 65 degrees. Now, being in our state of Montana, you know, it's a good worm to have for our climate, but they still can't handle, you know, the cold winters that we do. But I had decided that's just not a worm I really want to still deal with. Plus, I found that they take a very, very, very long time to actually reproduce. And to me, that's actually just a waste of time. And I don't want to compete with the guy, anyway, trying to sell the Canadian worms anyway. Because he has a nice little family business thing that he started. And, you know, he's doing really well, and I just don't want to do that. So, I decided that I'm just going to probably either, one, put the Canadians outdoors into, like, an outdoor kind of setup, maybe, and just kind of winterize it during the winter, or cold winters, or what I'll do is just let, you know, whoever wants to go fishing use them up, because I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to sit there and have to worry, you know, is my situation where I'm keeping them too hot, too cold, and stuff like that. And being that they are very slow in production and growth, I don't want to deal with it. So, European Nightcrawlers, I'll go with that. So I'll have, as of now, since I still have Canadians in that big bin, and I do have some in their cocoons, so I'm going to have to wait until a lot of them get bigger, and just hopefully keep weeding them out of my big bin, and just strictly keep it with the European Nightcrawlers in there. And this worm is kind of munched, like right there. I don't know if that one's going to make it or not. Get in there. So, I'll have about 4 species in my big worm bin. And I don't think you're going to make it. You got squished right there in the middle somehow. And I think it's probably killing you. I don't think you're going to make it. You are seriously squishy. So for right now, I'll deal with the Canadians in the big bin. And hopefully I can keep weeding them out little bit by little bit as I see them and as I come across them. And then these guys will just pretty much, you know, take over that bin. And then once that bin is established enough, it should get going really well. I do plan on turning this one section of this room I'm currently in, the wall that I'm up against, I'm going to make it into, it's a 6-foot area. So I'm going to do about 3 foot, I think I'm going to do 3 foot of one of my mix, and then a 3 foot of maybe either just straight red wigglers, and just have a straight red wiggler bin. The Nightcrawlers, the Europeans, I might do something else, I don't know. So that's my worms. No. Okay, so now here's the next part. This is my big bin. It's just one of those long, kind of under the bed, you know, storage ones with the wheels underneath it. I'm gonna end up moving these guys into a different situation, but this is it. And now I get to see, there's one of my, I'm pretty sure that's probably one of the Canadians right there. It kind of looks like the Canadian. Yeah, that's a Canadian worm. But this is my big bin setup. And what I did is I just literally made it really moist throughout the whole thing. Gave them stuff throughout the whole thing to get them to reproduce in here for now. Let me see, a couple worms. One right there. Little guy right there. Oh, one of my little helpers. I've been adding them as well. Doesn't want to focus. There's another one. That one is a red wiggler that I had gotten from the pet store, believe it or not. And what we're going to do is I think we're going to go ahead and disperse them. I'm trying to do this one-handed, and that's not exactly easy. Stay. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take these guys. We're just gonna go like so. Did I get everybody? Oh, nope, I didn't get everybody. Okay, I am not left-handed. I have to do it this. Oh, no, I do have some little guys still in here. Okay. Let's try and get them out. They're little ones, of course, so I'll try and get them out as gently as I can. The little baby ones are hard to deal with because they're so tiny. Little wisp ones. I still got one in here. Come on, little bud. Okay, I think it looks vacant now. Yeah, it looks like I got everybody. Okay, now I'll just kind of move them along, separate them out a little bit on top. Let them just go down. There's a part of that worm ball still. We're gonna let them just move on gradually by themselves. I know they're not really happy, but they will be happy when they get into this bin. Just a little clumps of worm balls. I'll probably deal with this a little bit later after they've all migrated down. I kind of want them to disperse out so they're not all just conglomerated into one section. Looks like somebody lost part of their tail. Yeah, I think they lost part of themselves. Okay. So, yep, see, they're starting to go. A couple of them. I'll check on them after a little while and see how they're doing. If they've moved down, or I got ones that are still kind of and if they do look like they're kind of like dead from the manhandling or whatever, then I'll just take them out. But so far everybody was alive, so that's a good thing. Okay. I'll check on them in a little while.